Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 10 of the anime series, Galilei Donna. Such a beautiful episode this was, picking up where we left off, with Hazuki effectively trapped back in time in the past with her ancestor, the great one and only Galileo. And of course, they're both working cooperatively to try to build an airship, an air vehicle, to basically get her back up to that cloud that she tripped through time and came through from the future, the distant future as it were, where she was really facing life and limb with her fellow sisters. And it's really interesting to me that she's beginning to piece together in this particular episode as she uncovers during the night when, of course, Galileo's looking up through his telescope at the moon and sketching it. She pieces together that, this is the time he made the sketches. The quotations that were written on them later are about her. He misses her. He felt like finally he found someone he could be himself around, which is what we're all searching for, really. It's sort of that unrequited lost love where you feel like you have a connection to someone, and then unfortunately, through life and osmosis or what have you, things get in the way and things don't add up the way you wish they could. And this is such a tragedy, yet at the same time it is, as I was discussing briefly in my previous episode coverage, this is, for all intents and purposes, for time travel fans, people who are familiar with that science fiction trope, this is a sort of predestination paradox. What that means is her coming back in time prompted the things that later would erupt in her own life in the future. From prompting him to sketch and put these notations on the sketch, professing his love for her. Eventually, she unravels to him in this episode the entire history of the future, so to speak, about this war to find a power, a fuel, something that can be sold or attained by all of the people to make equality reign for all, and, not have to have people who are poor and suffering and that kind of thing, at the whims of the governments and the corporations of the world. And he says to her in this episode that essentially he's going to make her dream come true. She's reciting it from one of those sketches. So it makes total sense that the bits and pieces that she's been traveling, finding with her sisters and Anna Hendricks all this time, are almost an answer to the things that she has now told him, having gone back to the past and witnessed and hung around with him in person. And it's, one leads to the other and leads back again, as I said in my previous episode coverage. And of course, finally, they get their airship working, they get all the bugs ironed out of it. It actually flies, and he realizes his dream, to not be oppressed by the people who have always told him he couldn't attain his dreams and that he was crazy for thinking the things he thought. What a great prominent scientist the real Galileo turned out to be, but he was persecuted in the time that he spoke out with his realizations about the way the moon revolved around the earth and how the earth revolved around the sun and all these things. But, through his interactions with Hazuki, he is reclaiming himself. He is becoming more confident in seeking his passions, which is something we can all but hope to do. I also have to note that there were some really good musical segments in this particular episode, very poignant melodic music during some of the romantic interplay and such like that. And of course, she does in fact trip back into the future, back through that portal. It opens up with that little goldfish amulet, and she is brought literally back to the moment she disappeared, with those missiles about to impact on her sisters, and the Black Ganymede just rescues right in the nick of time by firing them down and everything like that. They manage to take off in their Galileo ship, but of course are shot down by Roberto Materazzi's people. And just when we think it couldn't get any hairier, of course, the police, Interpol, show up to arrest them and take them into custody. And this couldn't have been a more magnificent episode. I can't wait to see how the series wraps up, because I assume that rumored sketch that Anna mentioned in the previous episodes is probably one last final love letter, love note, love sonnet, whatever you want to call it, to Hazuki from Galileo himself. And will it lead her back in time to him again, or will it save the future? Remains to be seen. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below, if you're able to post what you thought of Galilei Donna, episode 10, if you've seen it. Otherwise, I highly recommend checking out this series. It is absolutely mesmerizing and fantastic. But yeah, otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you later. Peace.